It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Hi, it's Feedback Friday, and I apologize. I have to record this in advance, so not many Wellness Wednesday comments came in before this, but it's okay because there's plenty from Monday, and we have to talk about how the Discord and the men's groups and so on and so forth are going to work. Okay, so um, there are two ways. Let me do the help support this. No, I'll I'll explain this and then I'll do the help support this channel because the information ties in. Right now, we are sticking to people who we can confirm are a human. This does not mean we need verification of your real life identity for everyone to know. You can stay using a pseudonym, you can remain anonymous, but we basically have to have a relative degree of certainty that you are not a troll or someone's crazy ex. And that is for the emotional stability and well-being of the people in the groups. Um, More on that in a bit, but this is the explanation for why we are doing things the way we are. One, make a donation on Ko-fi Coffee, or become a patron. When the coffee, I can just, because it's instantaneous charge. Patron, it's coming up at the beginning of the month. This is why I'm doing it this way. So once there's the cards charge for the month, I'll send out a link on Patreon and you can join the Discord. Now, what this does is if you're using a credit card, you're a person or there's a person attached to that credit card. So that's why we're doing it this way. The other way you can get an invite to the Discord is through one of our ambassadors. The last thing I want is for this Discord server to be a fiefdom or some sort of cult of personality. There's already over 50 people in it. It's really active. I can't keep up. And there are certain channels that are primarily moderated by other people. Below the moderation tier for people who don't have time to be mods, but I know them, I trust their judgment. They are what we call ambassadors. And ambassadors have invite privileges to the Discord server. So the best way to come to the notice of one of the ambassadors is to join us on Twitch on Tuesdays. We're going to be starting Alan Wake. Alan Wake's out today. I wish I could stream today, but oh god, too much work. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I will, if I can, add a couple of daytime streams for people that it's too late. This is going to be a bit of a work in progress. Eventually, we will open it up other ways, but everybody feels very, very strongly that we need some sort of quality control on who's there, because the Discord server is the way we're going to let people know when the men's groups are. And again, this is we're starting. We've got some D&D groups already started. There's going to be a group for authors, well, multiple groups for aspiring authors if you get help there, and other types of art. But the men's groups are a particular point of focus for me because the current system, the more I learn about it, it's not optimized for men. And what's interesting is the reasons it isn't optimized for men is the reasons certain elements of the system didn't work for me either. So I found that really fascinating. One of the things that we've realized is that the men's groups are going to have to be a minimum of 90 minutes long because guys need a good 30 minutes of just shooting the shit to feel comfortable enough to start talking about things. I noticed that anecdotally, but then a guest on It's Not Therapy pointed it out, and I ran it by some of the sort of test group participants. They all went, yeah, that's about right. 90 minutes works better than well, my standard sessions are like 55 minutes an hour, but apparently some therapists only do 45 now, and that's only 5 to 15 minutes of usable time. And that building trust is important, and that is not something that can be rushed. And so that's we tried to create a system that, you can sample in Discord, kind of see that it's an inviting space, kind of see how we talk. Hello, Scout. And then you can join a men's group that'll be getting started. Obviously, we're not going to start those until after the Patreon thing happens. So that's going to be second week in November, it looks like at this point. Which is good, right into the holidays where a lot of people are going to be struggling. It's going to go from there. So, like I said, Patreon, Coffee, GoFundMe. I'll do an update for the GoFundMe as well. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it, can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Or kick some bucks to the men's groups via the GoFundMe. Any of these services where you have to do a form of payment showing you're a real person and not some bot, or because, trolls might spend money to troll. That is a very, very, very devoted troll, but obviously it's not foolproof, but we're cutting it down. These are the ways you can do it. And I mean, Patreon is you only need a couple bucks a month, right? So it is just the proof of identity via credit card that you don't see. I don't see your information that way on Patreon. You register it via Patreon. That's the way. And if you're a Leanna Cares client, obviously I verify that you're a real person. So any of those ways, or Twitch Tuesday nights starting at 6 Eastern. I go till a little past 9. That is another way where you can meet some of the ambassadors and get an invite. Okay, because I'm going to focus on Monday's video about when to leave a relationship. And these were, this was one of these videos where the comments were very honest and a lot of them were very raw. And yes, I am drinking Red Bull. I never do this, but I'm exhausted. I'm going to be careful with these comments because, like I said, they're very personal. And this is the kind of stuff that, this is the format, right? People know the format. But when something's this tender, I think that, and I'm just really private, and this is why I don't read commenters' names. But one person said, knowing how my trauma clouds my judgment and makes my reactions to people at their bad days stronger than it should be, I work to learn to forgive and trust all over again, and then it led me to yet another abusive relationship. I don't know what to do now. I can't seem to find any semblance of balance and end up either being too aggressive at not letting people in or too lenient in dismissing every red flag as my overreaction. I feel pretty stuck. Thankfully I have a wonderful friend who stuck with me through everything, including quite a number of bad days when I tried to push him away. Proof this person can have friends, but they still find themselves quite lonely and unable to do much about it. And I hear this every day from people. This particular thing, my trauma has me either ignore red flags I'm seeing or let nobody in, and I don't know what to do about it. And that is, I remember how hard that was in trauma recovery. That's why I'm like, oh, um, and all I can tell you is the way I navigated that. Any decent professional will tell you everybody finds a different way through. But for me, there are just certain things that are they're either there or they're not. And if they're not there, I'm sure you're a very nice person, but you're not good for me. My various trauma therapists over the years really stressed boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And we live in a society that tears down boundaries, you know. Um the number of therapists that say to somebody, put yourself out there. You have to get out there. It's like, I mean, yes, the person knows that. The question is how without getting destroyed. And every time there's another bad experience, it cements those neural pathways connected to the traumas and those, core beliefs that this is the way it's always going to be. And that's no good. We want to get away from that as opposed to towards it. And the way I balance it is it's about behaviors. And what I mean by that is a person making an effort to be considerate? If you ask them to stop using a particular word, for instance, and you give them an alternative and they try, even if they're not perfect, that's enough for me. Seeing them try and not making excuses for not putting in the effort. The minute someone is very clearly just being obstinate and trying to deflect blame for a mistake they made, that's not good for me. And I will give people a bit of time to come to their senses. And this is, but I'll finish the thought and then move on. Give them a bit of time, like 48 hours to cool down, realize they were deflecting, realize that they did something that was objectively wrong, and, apologize for it. If they don't make it right, then I move on. And this, yes, these sorts of, okay, back off, but give it some time. It does take an incredible amount of self-discipline, and it does take a huge amount of restraint, which is why it's been irritating me seeing all these people who clearly have no restraint, preaching restraint for other people. That's a big thing for me. If somebody can't do things that they're demanding of other people, they're not good for you. And it may seem that, oh my God, you're rejecting all these people. You're never going to find friends. You're never going to make friends. I have the benefit of knowing that there are good people out there. This is part of the reason that I started the Discord server and everything like that. Even though I admit the entire idea terrifies me. I did not want to have a Discord server. It's just the most effective tool for what we're trying to do. But I don't like the whole thing. Because I've seen too many times where somebody takes a little comment in isolation and uses it to smear someone. And I absolutely do not want to be the reason that happens to somebody. That's why I was so resistant to this whole thing. But we're going to try it. And I do think that real people only, somebody got to vouch for you, and having a designation when somebody's identity has been verified by someone that, yes, I know this person, they are who they say they are. I think that's going to go a long way to minimize but not eliminate the risk. But I know there are good people out there, and that's a place where you can meet other people, and they're from all over the world, right? Because that is, and we're going to set examples. We're going to teach skills. A majority of the people there have autism or ADHD, so you don't have to worry about that. But it really is a repetition, positive reinforcement. That's the experiment. And, somebody mentioned relationships of choice versus relationships of circumstance in comments. That's, another thing that we're trying to solve for this way. And that commenter said, self-sufficiency and autonomy is of the utmost importance. And they're absolutely right. I completely agree. Autonomy is very, very important to me. Now, humans are not designed to get through life completely alone. And feeling like there's a give and take with you and other people doesn't mean you're not autonomous. Because good friends will allow you your autonomy, allow you to be your own person. I do not surround myself with people who agree 100% on things. I think that's not healthy. And I find the ability to disagree on things that aren't terribly important to be something of a trust building exercise. Like, all right, I can think a TV show's garbage, somebody else can love it, and vice versa, and it doesn't matter. That is not important. There are other things that, the problem with, that relationships of circumstance, as the commenter pointed out, is you're seeing a lot of people right now that they sort of got involved in kind of left-wing things because they felt like it would protect them from, the evil empire of the right. And there's been a lot of ugliness coming out of left-wing groups of late. And it is the opinions, but it's not the macro opinions. It's the way they're expressed, right? It's the way it's the bully tactics that people are engaging in. There are a lot of things I feel pretty strongly about personally that I don't talk about outwardly, because I know people disagree, and them disagreeing on this point is not a deal breaker for me. So it doesn't matter what I think. Other things just, they matter. And, demanding someone pick a team to cheer for when it's a war instead of a football game, I think I'm going to go that way with people like that, right? But some things can get misunderstood. And I've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to try to get 2 more comments in. Because one person said the idea of, the whole woman is reward turns around and bites men in the proverbial hindquarters. And I like this approach, because instead of it being, you're bad for looking at stories and a woman being a reward because Princess Peach gives Mario a kiss on the cheek. To me, that's not woman as reward. That's validation as reward. But the idea of a romantic relationship being some sort of prize or achievement does is the commenter says, irrespective of what she's like as a person, that doesn't leave a lot of room to understand or navigate situations where the inherent prize isn't a prize. And this commenter got into the whole I can save her plotline. And that ties into another comment. And this is the one I'm going to be real careful with, because this commenter did, I admit, I don't quite understand what the commenter was saying completely, because they were responding to something I didn't actually think and didn't actually say. And one commenter pointed out that, yeah, the sensitivity, it makes it hard to really understand exactly because it kind of rubs. But I have found a lot of guys like this commenter get very sensitive about the fact that they are attracted to I can fix her girls. And I plan to do next week's Manly Monday on this topic, just on the I can fix her girl, not specific characters. That's gonna take a while, but I think it's important to understand why the idea that somebody needs fixing and you can do that for another person, that is going to get you in trouble every single time. And the reason I am so emphatic about this, and this is the thing that doesn't seem to be landing, and so I'm going to focus on this for now and then do the greater unpacking next week. But of course it's attractive. People want to be wanted. Some people even want to be needed because it makes them feel useful. But no one should be expecting or hoping that somebody is going to come along and save them from themselves. The reason I am so hard on these female characters is that we talk about how toxic and abusive characters like, say, Edward Cullen from Twilight are. We talk about the male predator. But the female predator, at first, looks like a please fix me, please save me girl. And that's what I'm going to talk about on Monday. This is not trying to shame someone for finding the damsel in distress, for lack of a better term, attractive or appealing. Quite the opposite. It's me saying, I understand the pull. I was like you once. Here's why that's one you want to fight. Because there are certain toxic relationship touchstones that we have normalized and romanticized in media and in culture. And saving someone from themselves, both men and women do it. I mean, that's the whole manic pixie dream girl thing, right? The problem with the whole manic pixie dream girl trope is this idea that, you know, she just comes along and inspires a man at his darkest moment. And that I mean, shit, I kind of do that for a living, but my entire reason for being is not to advance his story. There's a reason I say be the hero of your own story and not anyone else's. Because when you think about the and not anyone else's part, that's the part that you cannot actually fix another human. You can help them fix themselves. But ultimately, they have to be the ones making the decision. Because if they don't, if they're just going along with your idea of who and what they should be, they're not going to be satisfied with the results because they didn't choose it. You chose it for them. And the thing about the I can fix her girls is nothing is ever their fault or their responsibility. And so the next time something goes wrong in their life, they're going to blame you. And they will never feel fulfilled. They will never feel autonomous. They will never feel like they can stand on their own because they're not making choices. They're waiting for someone to make the choice for them. So they're not responsible for the choice. So they can blame the other person if it goes bad. And if you're the person that's made the choice, you're going to get blamed. That's the cautionary tale. So again, it's not that there's something wrong with feeling drawn to somebody, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be helpful. My God, I'd be a complete hypocrite if I thought that. But you can't lose yourself. You can't sign up for abuse, blame, and shame. Trying to be the hero for someone who can't be saved. And this is where I think the comments are identified the other way. I'm guessing, because like I said, I don't quite understand, but the idea that people there are times I have wanted someone to save me from the shit I'm in. It's never happened. No one has ever come to save me. That's why I became such a massive asshole. I had to do it myself, and I lost a lot of innocence in the process. I lost a lot of softness in the process. I lost a lot of years in the process. I want to make it easier for other people, but I am not fixing people. You want someone, what you really want is for someone to come along and support you, not save you. Because especially in men, but also in women, if you're saved all the time, your self-esteem and self-concept gets lower and lower and lower and lower because you're a grown-ass adult that can't do it for yourself. And it's very important to separate support from saving. Because, I mean, on Twitch on Tuesday night, there was a guy whose mother had come in, got access to his bank accounts, and was controlling his life, trying to save her son from himself. And everybody was like, oh God. And I guarantee you that mother thinks she's helping, but she's not. She's abusing her adult kid. That's how it works. You know, you are not indebted to someone because they supported you. Support is something that should be done because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to think you're going to get something in return. Reciprocal relationships are healthy ones. But you support someone because you believe in what they're doing, and you believe in them. They support you because they believe in what you're doing, they believe in you. And that's how it works. No coercion in the equation, period. The minute there's coercion, the minute there's manipulation, it's toxic. And a lot of people don't have a non-toxic relationship until much later in life, if at all. So it can seem hard to believe those exist. But they do. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a community that thrives on supportive, beneficial relationships. So I'll leave it there and pick this up on Monday. Hi, Scout. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK, or GoFundMe for the men's groups. All of these will get you invites to the Discord server because we know you're a real person. It's around the 5th of November that the cards will process. But thanks for watching and have a great weekend.